Hello again. We're back together, and this is some of the gear that I pulled out. So these were the inductors for the mid-range. That was the cap for the mid-range. Most of this was high frequency. So I pulled all of this out and changed everything. And I'm going to show you what I've been up to, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. I sort of went back to basics. Well, back to basics. I just did what I could with what I had. So currently these speakers are now pretty much two-way again. So, but I'm going to talk you through some of the filters that I've used and that I am using, and let you know what's happening right now, because I'm probably treading on thin ice, shall we say. Let's just have a look at this. Right. Crossover calculators, they're online. They all do about the same thing. So I'll just go to this one here. Really simple filter for a tweeter and a bass unit. So basically what we're doing here, let me see if I can do this now. Right, so tweeters, they're coming from the high frequency, so we've got, what have we got, 20 kilohertz here, and they're doing this, okay? Now we don't want to put all of the power of the amplifier through this. You're going to blow the tweeter up, so we need to put at least a capacitor in there, and the capacitor will be in effect from a certain place, let's say from here, and it's going to roll this curve off, and so that's what the cap does in the high filter. Now, and then basically what you do is you start adding components. So one with a cap. If you put a here, let me show you. So here's a three-way design. So you've got we're going to ignore the bass driver here for a second, and we're just going to go with the tweeter. So we got one cap, one inline inductor, and another cap. And basically what's happening here is the cap chooses, and this is right, quick caveat here, this is what I know to be true, so it's probably wrong, but this is how I'm working all of this. The cap chooses the roll-off frequency, and the inline inductor chooses how fast this rolls off. So if you're heavily inducted, you're going to roll off fast. This is a silly curve, really, but and this is essentially what you're doing here. So why you might choose to use high order filters with lots of components is that you're going to if this is your bass coming up, if you can roll the sort of real sharp like, and here's your tweeter, and you roll that off real sharp like, and you've got very little crossover here. You've got this tiny little thing, and that's probably gonna if these are both in phase, it might leave a little lump here, but or not. So that's what we're doing here. Now obviously we need to put components into those wee tweeters, because if we don't, we're going to blow them up. So that was what we've done here. This is pretty close to what I've got, what I had in the system at the time. It was a three-way crossover, and all those components are lying on the floor right now. So then we've got bass drivers. So a bass driver will, let's have a look, so it'll roll up, and hopefully it will go reasonably straight, and then at some point it's going to roll off again, yeah? If you put an inductor in line with it, that's going to roll it off a lot sooner. Let's say here, for example. And if you put a cap in there, it's going to roll it off steeper, yeah? So that's what we had. So if I look at this is fairly close to what I had in the speakers until last week. So we had the bass driver. Now I've got two 8-ohm drivers in there, but we've hooked them up parallel, so essentially it's a 4-ohm driver. So an inductor there rolling off, and I think it was about, well, what does it say here? About 600, it doesn't say, yeah, 600 hertz. And then inductor followed by a cap, and the cap was high value here. It was, look at that, 75 microfarads for the mid-range, and then well, a single cap here, but I still had the 3-way. So that's pretty much what was in there. And if you do that, if you okay, let's have a look at this. So let's go back to here. These drivers are essentially parallel. So without these components, you've got two 4-ohm drivers here. Without these components, you're looking at a 2-ohm system. But because you've got the filters in there, essentially this is only handling the bass frequency, this is only handling the mid frequency, therefore what's coming through here is essentially only seeing the 4 ohms, depending on where it's split to. Fast forward to today, and I now have the bass and the mids in parallel. So it's a really simple circuit. The mid driver has no filter whatsoever, so it's full range. The bass driver has an inductor in line, but essentially those are now in parallel, so it's a 2-ohm speaker. The tweeter still has a filter in there. It's still got a really basic, I did an inline capacitor at a really high crossover at like 9 kilohertz or something. So for the first time in its life, that we flip you right around again. This Linn 2200 is actually working for a living. Even so, amazingly, the fan hardly comes on unless I'm absolutely like cranking it up. And what I've noticed is, I mean, less components always seem to improve things from an imaging point of view, as far as I'm concerned. But with those drivers, I mean, with a mid essentially being full range, the poor thing is trying to produce all those delicate highs and produce bass at the same time. So I'm asking an awful lot of it. Does it sound good? Yeah, sounds all right. It sounds pretty good. There's bucket loads of really good bass. The amp's keeping up with it. It's keeping it nice and tight, and so it'll do for now. What I'm definitely missing is an element of clarity that I was getting with a proper 3-way system, where the drivers were really working within their own within the range that they were designed for. So little lack of clarity, but it'll do for now. It's you know, I need music, so I'll work on a better crossover for this and a better filter. And the other thing that I've got now, this has been in my life, in and out of my life for the last few years. It's a VAC PA8080. And look at this, it's got taps for 2-ohm speakers. So I'm quite excited about hooking this up and seeing how that runs as well. But the wee little Linn there is doing just fine right now. So there we go, that's the quick update. I hope that all made reasonable sense, and I'll catch you next time.